So we'll discuss a process by which people can become misinformed, even in the absence of what we might think of as traditional misinformation and disinformation. This is a process driven by these dynamics of trust and mistrust related to some of the things Brian was talking about. All right, so I want to give a little example of the kind of thing I'm talking about, and then sort of give you a hint of what our network modeling of this kind of example looks like. So in February, this article was published by a Chinese research team looking at different treatments for COVID, and in particular, looking at how antivirals would possibly inhibit the success of the virus in vitro, so in the lab. And they found that, among other things, remdesivir and chloroquine did sort of inhibit the coronavirus. Now, on the basis of this finding and also general knowledge of antivirals, many doctors across the world, as the pandemic heated up, started prescribing hydroxychloroquine, so a newer kind of safer version of chloroquine. Now, at the same time, something sort of stranger started happening on social media, and especially Twitter. So on March 11th, a Twitter user in living in China, posted this tweet: "Chloroquine will keep most people out of the hospital. The US hasn't learned about that yet." They tweeted at a blockchain investor, James Todaro. On March 13th, Todaro posts that there's growing evidence that chloroquine is an effective treatment for COVID, and also links this Google Doc that he and another person who's a lawyer and another kind of random person, none of them are doctors, made arguing that chloroquine's a good treatment for COVID. Then Elon Musk, a few days later, this is the billionaire investor, tweets about this document and then follows up with a tweet saying, well, maybe hydroxychloroquine, this sort of newer version of chloroquine, would be even better. A few days after that, Fox News has Greg Regano, this lawyer, one of the document's authors, on to talk about hydroxychloroquine. And then shortly after that, Donald Trump, the president of the US, starts endorsing hydroxychloroquine as basically a miracle drug. And then from there, what happened was that hydroxychloroquine and its efficacy became this locus of disagreement, argumentation, anger, and polarization in the US. Okay, by polarization, what I'm referring to are situations where you have subgroups in a society that are holding stable, mutually exclusive beliefs, often even in the face of debate and discussion. So here we have liberals becoming very skeptical of hydroxychloroquine, even though at that point it was actually a perfectly promising drug treatment for COVID. Conservatives becoming big boosters of hydroxychloroquine, even though it was not yet fully tested and vetted. Now, notice that this polarization about this kind of new emerging belief, it didn't just happen out of nowhere. It happened along these existing party lines. And so it became part of what we might call belief factions, groups in which the actors involved hold multiple shared polarized beliefs.